a lot of people know your backstory. You went from, being a kid born in Argentina, having the success that you've scaled and grown. But then later you transitioned to kind of sharing your message with the masses, and you built one of the biggest personal brands on the internet. So I want to like touch base on your story, but I also just want to, commend you on how you did that and ask you, how the fuck did you do that? How did you build one of the
So
biggest brands?
I'm guessing just because you built a big brand yourself, a lot of the people that listen to your content as well as mine are probably interested in building a personal brand of sorts.
Mhm.
We live in an attention economy. Oftentimes I say that you have to trade assets, so you buy low, sell high. Today, attention, especially in short form and things of this nature, is extremely undervalued. So you sell dollars and you buy influence. Now, there's two types of personal brands. You can have your macro personal brand, which is something like mine that hits the masses,
Mhm.
or you can have a micro niche brand. Let's say you are in sales and you specifically just want to talk to people that are in sales, or you want to find recruiters, or you want to find a new sales position or a new job, or a new network.
Mhm.
You want to be able to put out content or make yourself available online, because what that creates is leverage. Today, the game is all about leverage. At the top, at least what I've been able to experience, money isn't everything.
Mhm.
A lot of rich people come to me and say, hey, like I would like to make a video with you because of your audience and your reach, which I can pay infinite amount of money to and never get access because you have a community.
Mhm.
So it's about building a personal brand, and then it's about retaining that energy by building a community. So where do people congregate? Do you have a
Mhm.
Telegram group? Do you have a Discord server? It doesn't have to be paid,
Mhm.
but where do people interact? So people get to connect with you, but then they have to connect with each other. And that's how you build a network.
How did you start your personal brand to begin with? Like your first couple videos?
Yeah. So my first couple of videos, I started when I was doing ecom 2016, 2017. That's how I started making money. And I started getting results. So I started posting my screenshots and giving some basic advice. I opened up a community back in the day called Ecom Society in 2019, which became one of the most popular e-commerce
And that
communities.
was it Facebook? Like a
That was a
Facebook community?
Facebook group back in the
Okay.
day when it was like old school. And that's how I got my first access to interacting with entrepreneurs online, which is why I say a niche personal brand also works. I got
Mhm.
access to incredible people in the Facebook ad space, media buying space. I got access to PayPal reps
Yeah, the
because you
networking
have,
side. Yeah.
correct, because you have 20,000 followers, but you know that the 20,000 people that are following you are actually interested in the topic that you have to talk about, what you have to say, the
Mhm.
things that interest you, and you kind of find those commonalities.
Mhm.
You can attend physical spaces, you can go to things in person, but at the click of a button, you can get access to a Zoom call, you can get access to a live stream, you can get access to a video.
That's high leverage. Yeah.
It's incredible leverage. You need to be utilizing it. And
Yeah.
the internet, in some way, shape, or form, not always, because there's certain parts of the internet that don't translate into the real world. There are, some sort of benefit to having an online brand that affect you in the real world.
Mhm.
So if you have a micro brand, it doesn't matter if you're in sales, doesn't matter if you're in marketing, you could be a CEO, you could just be an assistant, and you could be a group of three, four, five, maybe 20 people that share some sort of commonality. That is going to give you leverage. Leverage is going to give you access. And
Mhm.
access is important because you get access to information, you get access to networks, you
How
get
do
access to
people
deal flow and opportunity.
how do people switch from kind of working in the trenches to then gaining leverage? Like, because it makes sense when you have momentum and so leverage compounds, but most people never get the leverage going in the first place or due to a limited degree. Do you know what I mean?
You have to be present. You
Yeah.
have to be present, you have to be interesting, and you have to have something to say. So if you have no results, well, you have nothing to talk about.
Mhm.
If you don't have any interesting way in order to showcase your results, then people are not going to pay attention.
Mhm.
There's three ingredients to building a personal brand. There's intensity,
Mhm.
quantity, and longevity. It's how much content you post,
Okay.
the frequency at which you post it, once a day, twice a day, and for how long do you post it.
Mhm.
So how long do you go distance? 3, 4, 8, 10, 20 years. How frequent do you do it? And what's the quality and the substance of that unit of content? So most people create low quality content. They don't distribute it enough.
Mhm.
And you're competing with another million pieces of content. My team and I, we've been able to build one of the strongest distribution super teams in the entire world. We post 500 to 700 videos every single day. Every single month, we do anywhere from 250 to 400 million views.
How did you start scaling that? Like going back, like
So
what was
it
your
all
way of
comes,
thinking about it?
it all comes from Facebook, and it comes from my time when I was doing e-commerce.
Okay.
Remember when we talked about the idea of creators becoming like fatigued or saturated because they're always trying to make new content instead of focusing on strategies to distribute it?
Mm-hmm.
I said, I have these Facebook ads, these creatives that are doing well. They've proven to convert. Why am I going to go out there and create new ads? Let me leverage these ads. Let me actually go all in and spend a lot of money on these ads because these ads are winning creatives. People that know e-commerce know what I'm talking about. Once you find that winning creative, you scale it. You're not going to go out and test other creatives when you're catching momentum. You're just going to run with that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find variations of that and tune it and refine it. You're not going to go do a 180. You're going to keep that creative strategy. So let's say I have a piece of content that does really well, gets 1 million views, 2 million views. I'm going to double down on that piece of content. I'm not going to shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get that piece of content. And instead of going and creating 19 pieces of content that are similar, I'll distribute that piece of content 1,000 times.
How do you do it so high leverage though? Because I know you've only done like 10, 11 podcasts and you've gotten so much reach. Most people can do, dozens, hundreds, thousands of podcasts and not get as much. So do you think, how much of it do you think is distribution versus actually the quality of the messaging? I'm sure it's both, but how do you recommend someone who's just starting or maybe just thinking about growing it should focus on?
That's a great question. So it's about a mixture of both. On one front, you're going to have to create content that is interesting and content that is evergreen. If you create something that is only relevant for the moment, you make a reaction video, or let's say you make a commentary video or the news, that in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months isn't going to hit the same because it's not on trend. So the content that you create needs to have a long shelf life. So the content that I make,
Timeless.
people can watch it in 4 or 5 years and still understand what I'm saying. And I do that on purpose because instead of focusing on making something that's going to be viral once, I want to be able to have something that's consistently gaining views. Lifetime value of views is more important than what I gain in one single week.
So how do you evaluate that? Do you have a team of people who help you with ideas? Do you draft them yourself in your notes, like on a practical level? How are those ideas organized?
Yeah, we use different platforms. One of them is Metricool. And what we do is we sync up all of our pages. We have thousands of pages and we build our own grid and our own system that tracks the best performing content. And the best performing content then gets doubled down. That's the first strategy. The second strategy is we take written format. So we'll go out, write some tweets, post them. If they do extremely well, we'll just make a piece of content in correlation to that tweet. So it's really easy to put out a thought.
Yeah.
That is a concept. That concept then gets translated to video. Video then gets spread to distribution.
And then how did you start thinking about like the financial side of it? Because more and more you got to invest in growing the brand. Was it something you just did a little bit in the beginning of, or from the very beginning were you intentional about mass market distribution and creating clips, not just on your main channel? Because most people, for example, create content from their individual platform.
For sure.
Pioneers in scaling the brand figured out distribution on multi-platforms, which is now becoming more and more popular. But like, how much of it is playing that game versus actually, I guess, focusing on it and going, okay, I'm going to start spending more and more money on it. Does that make sense?
So it's all about the cost of the view. So if a view costs me a cent or 2 cents, or let's say 1,000 views cost me 2, 5, 10 cents, then all I have to determine is what it's going to cost me to get a return on that money. So hopefully you have some sort of product in the back end, sort of whether it's an affiliate product, whether you're on TikTok shops and you're running, your own little e-com business, whether you have an info product, a community, anything. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You should have something that allows a conversion to then be circulated back into more video content distribution.
Yeah.
So what I decided to do was I created a couple mechanisms to generate money, whether it's through affiliate programs, whether it's through my email list, or whether it's through my community or my investments. And what I would basically do is repurpose the money into more content distribution and into more content creation. So I've always been able to make money outside of my brand, whether it's my investments, whether it's my personal portfolios, whether it's my investment company or whether it's my e-commerce companies, I've always been able to make money outside of my personal brand. So my personal brand is a business in and of itself.
How much do you spend on it, if you don't mind me asking?
Probably about $90,000 to $110,000 a month on distribution.
And how much did you start testing it at? Was it just iterative, like
You begin,
10 grand?
yeah, you begin with one editor and you scale it and you begin creating content. You get comfortable. You create a library of content. That's the hardest.
How many clips a month are you guys posting?
I mean, 400 to 600 videos a day times 30.
And how many times can you clip, like for a 1 hour podcast, for example?
Infinite times, because I just have to color grade it. Remember, right? So let's say, let me take you back to the days of drop shipping. Back in the days of drop shipping, before it was easy to make creatives, you would usually find a creative in China and you would take that creative and you would run an ad for it. And then you would generate a sale, get the product shipped from China to somebody's house.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot of people would begin to use the same creative, or somebody would steal your creative. Things of this nature would take place. So Facebook began creating bots that would censor duplicates. TikTok began doing the same exact thing when people distributed content. So all you had to do was shift the content in micro kind of perspective. So you would zoom it 1%, grayscale it 1%, maybe mirror it, add some text, create an original clip that creates kind of the illusion of newness, tricks the algorithm, and has the ability to continue going viral. And you can tweak that same piece of content, test different music. Exactly. One piece of content that's a winner has the ability to be played out in different forms.
But that implies that the content itself is quality.
Correct. Or that it's viral. That it's viral. Whatever it is, it's anybody can have a viral piece of content. You just have to actually sit down and think about it. What would go viral? And you just sit down and test. And then you iterate. And then what you do is you take, Mr. Beast did it. He's doing the number one thing that you could do. Taking game shows and putting them on YouTube. He took a model that existed and he scaled what looks like what you would see in the 90s or early 2000s when you would watch TV at night, which is your late night game shows. That's what it feels like Mr. Beast is creating. He has the Beast games and things of this nature. So there's nothing new. It only evolves in shape.
Right.
And distribution is merely the ability to cast a signal of attention. It doesn't capture retention. Retention comes from long form content. And YouTube, back to your question, why is it that somebody can make 20,000 podcasts and never go viral, or, have a long series, never hit, versus making a couple podcasts and it actually working and going viral? It has to do with the platform. YouTube is a search engine. People go on YouTube to look for things. And then once they engage with that, YouTube then recommends something. That's usually how people interact with YouTube. They actually go out and intentionally put forth the effort of finding a specific piece of content. Once they're rabbit trailing, that's a different story. However, on short form, whether it's TikTok, Instagram Reels, things of this nature, what you find is people just scroll and they're expecting content to be fed to them. So when you're getting content fed to you, that's the exact narrative that you're trying to put forth. Nobody has to search for your content. Your content just shows up. If people like your content, then they'll go search for your content in long form. Last podcast I did about 2 million plus views. I did some short pieces of content, distributed them extremely well on the internet, and that led to people searching for that long form video on YouTube.
What percent would you say is distribution versus actual content creation? In terms
I would
of
say
effectiveness or efficiency for growth.
70% distribution.
Wow.
Everything is distribution. The record labels, they own the rappers, not because of any other reason beyond distribution. Distribution is the most important thing.
How did you learn
access?
that? You learned that e-commerce initially?
I mean, at the end of the day,
just testing.
At the end of the day, the way that you get eyes is by marketing. Content creation is a form of marketing. When you post a piece of content on the internet, that's an ad. It just doesn't say sponsored. But if you're paying for it as a creator, that means there's an advertisement cost. You can call it a cost of a video. You can say it's a cost of business, but it's an advertising cost because it costs money to get a view.
Right.
So if you have a product, Hopefully it's beyond some sort of merch or some sort of sponsorship deal with a third party brand. You want to have something that belongs to you. You want to be able to have your community working inside of your own ecosystem.
Uh-huh.
And that's when you kind of are able to build a community, and those people stick around. So for example, from my Telegram, I have about 150,000 people. I'll send a voice memo, and within 2 to 3 minutes, 10,000 people listen to it. It would take me a lot of time to get in contact with all those people, and I would never be able to congregate all of those people on TikTok short form clips. What if those people want to, level up together, or they're in the same city and they want to connect?
So
They
everything
want to
about
level up.
scale. You're thinking about everything from a scale perspective.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it from an ecosystem perspective. So I'm just a part of the equation of a community. If you're just the epicenter of a community, everything revolves around you. The moment you stop, everything dies. My job is not to be a content creator. As much as I make videos on the internet, my job is to build a self-sustaining ecosystem that allows me to make money in a way that just extends beyond one specific vertical. Like, if I stop creating content, I can't make any more money. It shouldn't be that way. Initially, it works, but eventually, if you stop making videos, you stop making money.
Right.
And that's not the case for me. I want to take the virality, I want to take the distribution, I want to take the content, and I want to generate and turn it into a community, not into dollars, into community. Community then builds product, builds software, builds things that now, because I have money, I can invest in. And that's where my lifetime value comes. It doesn't come from $30 up front on a monthly subscription. It doesn't come from $100. That's why
term leverage. Yeah.
Correct. That's why you've never seen me sell a high ticket course. You've never seen me do things of this nature, because my lifetime value for my community is more than just, hey, buy my course, that's it. I think that the best people in your community will grow with you. I've seen it myself. I used to have a student by the name of Anthony, and he wanted to be a firefighter. And he called me once, this was back in the day, and said, hey, Luke, I'm thinking about going back to firefighting school and just by finalizing my career, and started working on that, because drop shipping for me right now is not working. After a couple coaching sessions, he made $87,000 on his first month. Now, I saw him go from making $87,000 in a month, and over the next 4 years, become a millionaire. That is a success story that is fully his. I take no credit beyond the fact that I get to experience his growth because he's part of my community. A lot of creators feel alienated. A lot of creators think that their community drains them. The community is there to take from them, to entertain them. I'm not there to entertain people. I'm there to build community. So I'm just integrating into the network. When we do physical events, it's very noticeable, right? We just create an open space and people just hang out, and I'm just one more in the group.
How did you start collecting data from community? Or do you just think about, because one thing to create it, it's another thing to actually monetize it, or actually have data on the back end. Do you guys collect emails, phone numbers? Like, what's the long-term plan of how you absorb back end, the benefit of building a brand?
Yeah. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to be able to build leverage within your community. And that means that you have to build reputation, credibility, status, and expectation that there's a reason why people should be there.
Right.
People aren't going to be on 2 Discord servers at once. They're not going to be at 2 events at once. They're only going to be in one place, with you or somewhere else. So what's the incentive for them to be there? What's the incentive for people to be part of Capital Club? What's the incentive of people being part of Ecom Society? What are the incentives behind this? It needs to be beyond, oh, I like Luke Belmar. If it's, I like Luke Belmar, well, what happens? Nothing. Luke Belmar has to show up every single day. So you need to build things that are good for your community, things that are relevant for your community. So you listen to your community.
You started Capital Club in 2019?
I started Capital Club and Ecom Society both in 2019. So Capital Club is designed for high-tier entrepreneurs. We get together in different places around the world. I spent the better part of 2013 and 2014 traveling to about 25, 26 countries, meeting with thousands of entrepreneurs inside of the Capital Club network, and getting to understand what is it that they do, what they like, what they're into. A lot of them traveled all over the world to come and visit. We've hosted events in Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, Bali, Paris, London, the list goes on. And it's really cool because you find similarities. So you begin to listen to them and you begin to build things that are relevant to them. Hey, Lou, we would like to have a centralized event once a year in a specific location. Can you pull it off?
Right.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. So you are a steward of the community, and that's how you go from content creator to community curator,
Right.
and somebody that's just managing experiences for your community. And ultimately, people stick around for a lot longer.
How many different hubs of communities do you have?
So I have 3 communities based off of what I like to talk about. So most people know me for crypto and e-com. These are the 2 things that I'm known for. They're the 2 things that I've made money on. They're the 2 things that I've been able to build a digital career on. So I have my e-commerce community, my crypto community. My crypto community, crypto, the space, high leverage, high risk, fast, pretty intense, pretty nerve-wracking. It's not for everybody, but I like it. So I have my ecosystem in my community there. I have a free community for people to be able to network and talk. I don't charge $1 for it. They have access to it. On the second front, I have Ecom Society, which is designed specifically for people that are in e-commerce. So if you're an e-commerce entrepreneur, there's a community specifically built for you where you get to interact with experts that are in the space. I'm not an e-commerce expert. I'm an expert of community building, community management. So I work with the best e-commerce entrepreneurs to create the best experience where experts and students can connect, work, and level up.
How do you find great talent? I feel like it's one thing to have great ideas. The biggest challenge is finding great people.
For sure.
How do you, and you have to build layers of people on people on people. How do you hire people at scale and manage all that?
Well, it comes from your network. So my flywheel is my experts come from Capital Club. So my experts for my crypto community and my experts for my e-commerce community come from Capital Club. Capital Club attracts the highest entrepreneurs in the world.
And for people who don't know, what's the business model of Capital Club backend?
So it's a very simple business model. The model is to build the largest entrepreneur network in the world. Okay. And all it is the repurposing of membership money to scale the business. So it's not for Luke to get rich. In fact, I haven't made a lot of money from it. It's basically designed to leverage community and put ecosystems together where instead of making money together or making money off of the high tier entrepreneurs, you can make money with them. So I've been able to invest into a lot of companies. I've been able to get access to a lot of opportunities because those events take place.
Yeah.
So instead of making
positioning because you own it. So yeah.
Instead of making $400,000 on an event, I get to get access to opportunities that over an extended period of time yield a lot more of a return. And the mindset changed because you need to stop thinking like a hustler when you have money, and you need to start thinking like somebody that is investing long term. You invest long term into people, you invest long term into companies, you invest long term into Bitcoin, you invest long term into land. But going back to it, you invest long term into people. So you mentioned the idea of like, how do you find good people? Well, you invest into them. How, when you find somebody that's quality in your network, how intentional are you to keep them around? How intentional are you to elevate with them? How
much of it is, I guess, nourished relationships that grow versus like cold new people that come in that have super skill sets?
Everybody comes in for my distribution. And my top of my funnel is my distribution. Every top tier entrepreneur that you've ever seen me interact with has seen me in short form content. Long form content, they might see me, but either by direct connection or by second connection, this person will be easily available for me to interact with or for them to interact with me. So distribution, when it comes to networking, is the most important thing because people know that you exist. People don't need to know everything about your life, everything about your business. Right. They just need to know that you're a person that is of status, that is respected, X, Y, and Z. You get access.
Yeah.
So then you congregate in a physical space, physical events with the best of the best, and then you create opportunities for people to collaborate. My friend Jordan Welch recently sold his company. He sold his company to AutoDS for a very, very big sum of money. And in this life-changing sum of money, that transaction took place at Capital Club, right? So at Capital Club, both of them attend. I introduce them. They broker the deal. Wow. And now one gets what he wants and the other one gets what he wants. Yeah. And all of that is possible when you create an ecosystem that allows for there to be value creation. And value creation comes from being intentional about giving back to your community. So once you have money, you no longer have to make money and keep it. You make money and you recycle it.
What amount of money did you feel like you had before you started really feeling like you had leverage to do that? Like, I guess, what amount of money did you feel free to like not have to monetize a brand to be able to be like, all right, I'm going to go all in on it and invest on it?
I would say it's all about your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about how much you make.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not spending a lot of money, then what you're creating is peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have 2-3 years of living expenses already stored and ready to roll,
Mm-hmm.
then you can operate with a little bit more confidence than you would if you have to make money in the next 2 weeks.
Right.
So the perspective changes depending on your situation.
Right.
If you need to make money really quickly, then the idea of brand building and networking, no, go make some money, go get a job, work online ideally if you can.
Exactly.
Once you have some sort of money, that creates, once again, money's leverage, influence is leverage. It creates leverage for you to be able to start a business, a side hustle, a resell business, something that gives you access to more capital.
Mm-hmm.
And then you create some sort of micro presence. If you don't like the internet, attend events, go to trade shows, join clubs.
What do you find is most community members' motive in joining a community?
Well, it depends on the community. That's why the community needs to be very focused and very purpose-driven and very intentionally noticeable what it's about.
But I mean, okay, like let's say one's about e-commerce, one is about a personal development group, one is about, some other niche. Like, obviously the subject matters, but is it the connections? Is it the relationships? Is it
Belonging.
the person?
The belonging. People want to belong somewhere. People want to fit in somewhere where they feel comfortable. For the longest part of your life,
Mm-hmm.
you were put into environments that you didn't enjoy. You were in school, you were in high school, your parents put you in situations that weren't enjoyable. As an adult, especially now access to the internet, you get to curate your environments. So people become really excited that they can interact and that they can associate with people that have similar interests to them. So people yearn for that connection, they yearn for that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And today, more than ever, the value of people spending time together, hanging out, collaborating has a premium because people don't spend time together because they're always working, they're always focused, they're always clocked in. So when you create something in person or something intentional, people put a lot of value to it.
Why do you think most people struggle when it comes to building a community? Like, where do you see most people go wrong? Is it just that they don't have the capital to execute on it?
It's hard.
They prematurely try to?
It's hard because building a community means that you're always having to manage it. You're always having to grow it. It's like a garden. It never stops.
It requires systems.
Yeah. Apple's a community. Yeah, they build product. Yeah, they make a lot of money. But what was the first iPhone that you bought?
Probably the 5.
And you bought it every year, every 2 years, every 3 years.
Pretty nice shoe.
You're part of the Apple community, bro. You trust them.
Okay.
You trust them. You know when a product releases, do you?
Ish.
You see it on the news. You know that the Apple Watch is out. You know that the VR headset's out.
Exactly.
The point is you're part of, whether by proxy or by their influence or their marketing, they have your attention and they have your trust. You're part of their community. You know that when you buy the iPhone, it's not going to let you down. You're part of their community. You're part of that level of kind of trust that builds Apple to be what it is.
What do you think? I know I asked you this earlier. Is what do you think makes it sticky? Like, because it's one thing to build a community, it's another thing to have them stay. People talk about churn, right? Communities can have churn, right? How do you keep it, or do you not even think about that? You just keep the momentum so hot that like churn is irrelevant. You just focus on.
People are always going to go somewhere else eventually.
Okay.
That only makes sense. Think about yourself. How much time do you actually consume one artist or one content creator, or how many times do you go to a specific restaurant? You have a limit.
Mm-hmm.
That happens all the time. So your goal is to be able to be always present and top of mind. Whether people see you directly or indirectly, you also have access to a new pool of people.
And what are the platforms you focus on distribution on?
So the best platforms for distribution today, in my opinion, are Instagram above TikTok. So Instagram, even though it's a little bit more intense when it comes to competition, it is also yielding, in my opinion, a better quality audience. On TikTok, even though it's easier to gain views, you also get a younger audience. So if you're an entrepreneur, you have content that maybe is a little bit more serious or content that maybe is a little bit more niche.
Mhm.
Instagram is really good for you. What I like to leverage is not only distribution, but the thing that I find working the best is how can you continue communicating with your most hardcore fans?
Mm.
When you have,
Yeah.
yeah, with your most intimate fans. Let's say you have 100,000 followers. It's pretty normal for a lot of creators to have 100,000 followers.
Mhm.
Let's say out of those 100,000, you have 5,000 that are really dedicated, that would listen to every message that you put out, that would buy your stuff.
Mhm.
That 5%, how do you communicate with them? Is it via email, via text message, or have you built some sort of place where you can keep them?
Mhm.
We're here in Vegas.
Mhm.
These people building these casinos have optimized this place to keep you around. They've
Yeah.
made it sticky. They've made it interesting. They've made it fun. Why are people going to be somewhere that they don't enjoy? They're not.
Yeah.
So you just suck at community building if you can't sustain a community, and that's okay. But you change it by always being uh, forefront with your innovation, by always being transparent, by
By
offering good
caring, yeah.
experience, by caring, by always being focused on it and having attention to detail.
Mhm.
It's and by listening. It's a cumulative of a lot of things. But once again, if you have distribution, you can iterate on your community. But how many people come to Vegas and only come once?
Mm.
A lot of people. But then you have people that consistently come and eventually people stop coming. Well, probably because they die.
Yeah.
So eventually every person churns.
Mhm.
But the traffic, the new traffic comes through the distribution. So if you have good distribution,
Focus on that. Yeah.
you're good to go. And then you have good quality buckets. And that what I mean by buckets is buckets that the money can come into, right? So if you don't have any sort of monetization stream, then, or any way to collect any sort of cash, any product, any sort of
Mhm.
offer, then it's going to be really hard to scale. And if you're at the mercy of a sponsor or,
Right, yep.
or an ad, then you have no control over your community. So I think it's a combination of both. But back to your point, it's building a sticky community is key. But what is most important is to just have a brand,
Yeah.
is for people to know you. And it's not about for the idea of everybody knowing you. It's the people that matter should know you. And if the right people know you, you're good.
And for content creation, how much of it? Because I don't know if you're like a big fan of like talking direct to camera. I know we were talking about that off camera, but like, what have you found is the most effective route? Because I know, for example, podcasts are high leverage because you could sit down for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, and get good back and forth dialogue and turn that into, like you said, an unlimited amount of clips. Whereas if you set up a camera and then you said something and you second guessed it, you have to re-record, in practicality. Have you found that like there's a good balance between the two? Or like, I guess in terms of content creation, how do you think about that?
So it depends on the type of creator that you are. I can easily see.
So you recommend people play to their strength?
Yeah,
Yeah.
play to the content that you enjoy making, that you know is quality. So if you're not into business and you like wakeboarding or you like
Mhm.
skateboarding, well, how can you leverage that to not only make more money but get more attention?
Mhm.
Obviously, if you suck at skateboarding or you suck at wakeboarding or surfing,
Did you ever
whatever it
skate
is,
growing up?
I not really good.
Yeah.
I broke my wrist
Uh-huh.
early on in a ramp, so I
What
hung it up.
what sports did you play as a kid?
Soccer, football. We call it fútbol in Argentina, but we call it soccer here in the U.S.
Were you good?
I'm okay. A little bit of magic.
I know you play FIFA too.
Play FIFA, bro.
How often?
Once a month.
Ish.
Yeah, I play, but I like it, bro. I like it. I like FIFA. I like football. I like going to matches. I like the energy.